What happens when chasing success nearly costs you your life? In this episode, I sat down with my friend Ivan Ong from Singapore, who built and listed a company in his 20s, hit burnout hard, and woke up paralyzed after a near-death crash that left him bedridden for months. From that rock bottom, he co-founded KeaBabies, a parenting brand built on love instead of hustle. Now it reaches 6.5 million customers globally and brings in nearly $78 million a year with no external funding. In this rare interview, we talk about the lie of successful Asian stereotypes, how to actually rebuild after burnouts, and why his accident was the best failure ever. If you've ever wondered what life after burnout could look like, this one is for you. This is the Asian Rebel Club podcast, a space for the ones who grew up chasing approval and are now learning how to be free. I am Crystal Ren, entrepreneur, creative, and recovering achievement addict. Each week, we dive into honest conversations with Asian rebels, rewriting what success, identity, and freedom really mean. If you're ready to live your story, not somebody else, welcome home. What did success mean to you growing up? And how has that definition changed over the last few decades?
I didn't come from a rich family, so we come from like a low middle income family. My family of six, with my dad, my mom, I have two elder brothers and one younger sister. So we live with our grandma since we were young. We only had one room to ourselves, so six people in one room. I didn't have my own room, I didn't have my own bed. So growing up was pretty tough. And my mom always tells me that we need to save money for a rainy day. So I grew up like always wanting to save money, and money is an important resource in order for us to buy the things that we want. So success to me is a lot about making money when I was younger. So throughout my teenage days, I was crazy about earning money. So I would do all kinds of funny things to try to earn money. And then when I earn money, I try to save it. Yeah, I think that was what success to me was like when I was younger. I think now, after having a few successful businesses and earning, enough to retire, success to me now is like more of the overall well-being. Of course, I always tell just like I tell my teammates previously, in order to be healthy, you need to have I call it the three areas of health. You need to be financially healthy. You need to be mentally healthy. You need to be emotionally healthy, and physically healthy. Basically 4H, the four aspects of health.
Right.
So I think now success to me is managing these four areas and making sure that not one area is too heavily dependent on the other, and try to have a all-rounded area of these four areas.
Right. And then you mentioned that you grew up with six people living in the same room. How did that change or define your definition of success? And does that make you want to take care of other people? Like, does that mean that your success also means that these people are depending on you for that? Or like, how did that change your view of the community and yourself?
I think my view on this is when my dad actually passed away. That was, 12 years ago. So when my dad passed away, I felt that suddenly I felt the need to take care of my mom and the need to take care of my sister, because my dad was very, very close to my sister. So then security becomes a very important aspect of why I do business and why I wanted to succeed. Because I wanted to have that basic level of security that I'm able to take care of my family, take care of my mom, take care of my sisters, and now of course take care of my children. Security is the number one thing that is the reason why I do business, and I consider myself like a relatively conservative person. So I don't take big risks. I will never put myself in a situation whereby security is being compromised. So financial security to me is my number one priority when it comes to my business.
I think it's interesting that you mentioned how a lot of, especially the earlier success you've had, was driven by the need to be secure and also to take care of people who dependent on you. There's many ways to do that in Singapore, right? Just because I think most people in Singapore choose to have stable jobs, it has low tax and jobs here pay well. So why did you choose entrepreneurship if security is so important to you?
I think in the beginning when I started business, I started dabbling about making money online when I was 19 years old. At that point in time, I was young. I don't have any liabilities. I don't have anything to lose. To me, my bottom line is nothing. I don't have anything. So I started with $5,000. And then to me at that time, if I fail and I lose that $5,000, I think I'm able to survive. At that point in time, I didn't think so much and it wasn't too big of a risk. So that's how I started. And to me, actually, having a job is not really secure, in my opinion. Because I seen my mom work her entire life. When I was growing up, I see her work in a bank. So she works in the UOB bank. And she's there for 40 years. And she's doing the same thing, getting a salary. And then to me, that's not really... Maybe that's security, but that's not freedom. To me, it's I don't want to be stuck in doing the same thing over and over again for my entire life,
Right. So you mentioned that it seems like stability and security, that value came from your mom because she worked in UOB for 40 years and she asked you to save for the rainy day. But also it seems like freedom is your own value, or how did you derive that? Where did you derive it from?
I think freedom to me, is the option to choose. Yeah, it's an option for me to choose whatever the things that I want or I don't want. And I'm not being forced to do certain things that I don't want to do. So even now that I consider myself financially free, my lifestyle is still pretty simple. But that's because I can choose to be like that. Yeah. So
right.
I don't drive, I don't own a car. But that's because I choose to, and I have the option to choose whatever things that I want. So I think having the freedom to choose is also a big part of why I decided to venture into business.
You know, that's another thing. I didn't know you didn't own a car. I thought, because you obviously are very successful financially, and a car to you is not that expensive, even in Singapore. Why did you not want to own a car?
I used to drive, but I sold my car 3 years ago.
Okay.
And I started to build my life around my house. So my office to my house is 5 minutes away. My house to my kids' school is also 5 minutes away. So I usually now I don't drive. I will just ride a bicycle.
Interesting.
So I just take a bus because I feel like I'm able to design my life exactly the way I want it, and not be doing business. I can design my life around what I want it to be.
Right.
And even when I do business now, right, some people say they are too busy with work, they're too busy with business, and they build their life around their business. So for me, I know very clearly that's not what I want. And I want to build my business around my lifestyle.
Right.
So some people will have to fly. I don't like to fly overseas to meet clients. I don't like to, keep on having to travel. I treasure family time. I don't like to go to CBD. I don't like to, work on weekends. So I will build my business and my life around the things that I want. Like my house is near my office, my kids' school is near my house.
Were you always like that, or was there a pivotal moment where you're like, I just wanted to design everything around what I want instead of, designing me for the business or whatever I'm doing?
I think this comes after having the options. So I mean, initially when you're starting a business, maybe you don't have that much choice. But once you have, some kind of, I would say maybe money, you can decide then to not be consumed by a business.
Right. But that's a choice, right? Because not a lot of people would choose that, even if they have that level of freedom.
Yeah.
Some people are still going to be working 100 hours a week or whatnot, just because they're so scared of that whole thing goes away.
Yeah.
So do you ever have that fear? And if you did, how do you overcome that? Because it seems like now it's the other way around for you.
I think it's I go back to the 4 aspects of wealth, health that I talk about, and I'm now chasing a more balanced, all-rounded areas of these 4 areas of health, which is financial, emotion, physical, and mental health. So that's why now I'm starting to don't be too suck into, the business, doing everything, keep on chasing the money after money, and keep on trying to build the business up. Yeah, and then neglecting the other areas of your life.
It seems like it sounds to me like there's something changed in you. Let me just maybe talk about the car accidents that happened in 2016, right? Is that 2016? Can you just tell me what happened and how first did that incident change you, and how did you start KeaBabies after that?
Before I had my accident, I was a very egoistic man, and I used to feel good about having a lot of friends. I used to feel good about having a lot of businesses. I want to be a serial entrepreneur, starting many different kind of businesses. So actually, in fact, I started like F&B, I started agency business, I started like a lot of funny business. And then like I like to have a lot of friends. I like to hang out with friends. I like to hang out late. Blah 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 blah. And then after that, once I had my accident, which was in 2016, I had a bicycle accident when I went head on with another cyclist, and I was paralyzed for a few months. So I think that was I had to undergo a 24-hour emergency surgery, and then I was paralyzed. Basically, like I can't even shower, I can't run, I can't lift up my hand, I can't move my leg, I can't get out of bed, I can't even pee. And then like at that point in time, my wife was also pregnant with our second child. And my first boy was 1 year old. So it was quite scary that if I become vegetative like that, and then like what's going to happen to my kid, what's going to happen to my wife.
Did you know you will recover? Like, what's the odds of recovery at the time?
Yeah, luckily after that, I managed to be able to start to move a little bit. And although I was still in a lot of pain, like nerve pain, spinal injury pain, I started to do a lot of rehab. So like normal people, they usually do like rehab maybe once a day. I asked the doctor to give me 3 times a day.
What's the motivation behind that?
I think it's my wife, my kid, my unborn child at that time. And when you are lying there, you don't think about money, you know. When you're there, you're lying, you can't even move, and you only can pray. Like how much you have in your bank account doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, you would think about how much money I have, what's my income level, blah blah blah. You think about your family, you think about your wife, your kid, you think about your mom. I think that kind of like made me realize that chasing after money is not everything. I mean, like, and if you go into chasing money, you go into the like unlimited spiral, because money, there's unlimited amount to be made. If you keep chasing your entire life, then you're going to sacrifice certain areas for that. I come to realize that the family is more important when I was in the deathbed. And then when I finally recovered after like 6 months, I started to like walk better, move better. Then I realized like health is also very important. I used to be very fat. When I accident, I was like 89 kilos.
I saw your pictures from before. Yeah, you definitely look a little bit heavier than
I was very round, and then like I start to realize how it's also very important, and then I start to take care of my health, eat proper. I start to exercise, I start to do walks, and then I start to do meditations. I start to follow some spiritual guru that enlightens us about what life is, the purpose of life, like what is it that is stopping you from achieving things.
Right. So you obviously had a successful affiliate marketing company from before too, and it was listed in Australian Stock Exchange. That's before your accident, right? So what do you think was your motivation before the accident while you were chasing money? And obviously now you built another successful business. And what do you think is the motivation to do that? And what's the difference between the two?
I think previously the business that we were in, I think that one was events business, but that was purely chasing after money. So that business, I do it because it earns me good money. That's about it. I didn't enjoy the business. I don't really like our customers. We don't really feel satisfied even when our customer buy from us. So that was purely like chasing after numbers, especially when we got listed on the stock exchange. It was also like for fame, for like recognition, for like want to feel good.
Yeah.
Don't really know what's the value of going listing, other than we raised like $14 million.
Right. Yeah, I mean, at the age of what, 20 something?
29.
Yeah, I mean, that's, most people won't even dream about that, right?
But to me, it was like kind of like an experiment. Like I didn't know what was it like to list a company, and then I just went ahead, not knowing much about it. So I just followed like a mentor, and then he just did some M&A on our company, and then he just helped us to list on the Australian Stock Exchange.
Right.
But that period was about 3 years when I was on the stock exchange. But that 3 years, I actually learned a lot of things. Although the business didn't do well in the end, we ended up burning all the money.
Yeah. And what's the reason for that? And how come you didn't cash out? Because, obviously a lot of people, they will want to be listed and then cash out, right? I mean, that's the purpose of some people doing that.
Yeah. So I think because that listing was done in a rush.
Yeah.
So we basically, because my company was too small, so we bought 3 other companies and we just forced a merger. So we just pieced 3 businesses together, come up with a story, and then we just list it. So I was not the CEO of the listed entity. I was like a second in command.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of things didn't go well. I mean, the CEO back then was from MMC. So he was a very young guy, very driven guy from MMC. I think the business model didn't work out, but I learned a lot of things from the listed entity.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, so when you're building KeaBabies, like right after you recover from the spinal injury, what was the purpose then, and how do you want to do it differently at the time?
I think when we built KeaBabies, from all the experience that I learned from our previous business, and the bad things about the previous business, we learned from that, and we didn't want to build our business, the next business, based on, for example, the bad things that we used to do, like for example, just chasing money, not providing value. We weren't happy, we were not satisfied with our business. At that point in time, the last business, we didn't build any intrinsic value. So in the event that we want to sell the business, we can't. So in this business, good things that we learn, right, we apply it actually to our business. Like for example, how we build teams, how we build systems, how we build culture in our company, how we do our corporate finance, corporate governance,
Right.
our finances are all audited according to how a listed entity would do it.
Yeah.
So these are the good things that we picked up in my previous experience, and we apply it. The bad ones, we avoid it and then do it differently.
Yeah.
So right now, the KeaBabies that we built, number one, it must be a happy business. We must be happy building it. The product.
Why was those like guiding principles? Why was it? Because you didn't have a good experience, even though you guys were making a lot of money in the first or the last business you guys did, or was the accident that changed it?
I think the premium business was done only because of money. So there was no motivation. Like, we don't wake up feeling like there's a need to. We don't feel driven by the company. And I feel in the long term, it's very tiring. It's very draining, and it burns you out very fast. Yeah, and then like sometimes certain things that you don't want to do it, but because you have to do it because it makes money.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was how.
So I feel like you were driven by money, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about before, where there's some people that they will make a lot of money, but they're still driven by it just because, otherwise things gonna stop. And it seems like now you're doing this completely differently, and partially it's due to your experience before and you didn't want to repeat that. And also, do you think the accent also changed or solidified that principles as well?
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. In our previous company, people ask me what's our mission and vision. I say to make money. Our vision is to make even more money. That was our mission vision in my last company.
But that is very Chinese, right? I mean, like I think that's pretty much all most Chinese companies.
So so after the accident, even though I had money, but then I didn't feel happy. I think especially, and after the accident, I feel I didn't have health. And then after my kids was born, I feel I didn't have time.
Just like nothing, right? Just no health, no time. And sorry, what's the third one?
No health, no time, and no happiness.
But you have money, so that's...
Exactly, yeah. So in the past, how I deal with not being happy is I will want to have more.
Yeah.
More friends, more businesses, more everything, more. But the more I get, the more I have, and then the more unhappy I feel.
How come? What do you think is the reason?
I think it's at the end of the day is internally I'm not stable. So I always feel like if I'm not happy, I want to have more.
Right.
Yeah. And then like...
But then you get it, and then you're like, well, I still don't feel happy.
Yeah, so I want to get more.
And then, but in the meantime, you're just frustrated because you're not happy.
So after the accident, I started to do this thing called, people like to accumulate things, right? I started doing decumulation. So I started to get rid of the things that doesn't serve me.
For example?
So all the business that I previously had, I shut them off. For the friends that I thought were my friends, I cut them off. Yeah. So I decided to only focus on 3 things in my life right now. I think everything else is not important. I don't bother about it, and I don't go and spend time on it. So the three things that I focus on right now is my business, my family, and my health. So everything else to me is secondary.
Right. Was it difficult to go through that process to declutter, or is it easy for you at the time just because you had already made a decision?
I attended some spiritual teaching from my guru, and I kind of discovered what are things that make me happy and what are things that doesn't serve me. And I decided that I should spend more time to focus on the things that makes me happy and the things that I treasure and I appreciate, rather than just like blindly doing things that I thought is the solution, but actually gives me more problem.
Did you think you were happier after you did that entire process?
Yeah, I also learned that to be happy is not to look externally. When you start to look externally, then that's the number one. And that's for sure and a guaranteed way to not be happy. So if you look for externally for things, then you'll never be happy.
But why do you think people look externally for things to make them happy?
I think because nobody taught them what makes you happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in the societal terms, on social media, you see that people buy things to make you feel happy. People go traveling makes you happy. Having flashy car makes you happy.
Right.
Yeah, but actually, now that I experienced that, I feel that it doesn't make you happy. I also learned this phrase that the only way out is in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only way out of whatever problem solution issue that you have is to look inwards.
Right.
Is to look at yourself, look internally, and internally you will find the answer rather than.
So what's your process now, for example, because I think you mentioned a very important point, whereas everything that you feel insufficient internally and you want to get externally, that's when your unhappiness actually starts. Yeah. So when you feel, say, there's something that you're not happy about internally, how do you deal with it now versus before?
I think before I will try to like keep myself very busy by taking on a lot more things, a lot more like responsibility to hopefully make me feel that I will make me feel happy, but actually It doesn't. So right now, what I do is I say no a lot. Especially now at this stage of my business, there's a lot of people trying to come to you, ask you for things, ask you for this, for that. And then I think I respect time a lot now. And I say no a lot. Things that doesn't serve me or doesn't help me or doesn't improve the way I want, then I'll just say no. I'll be very thick-skinned and just say no.
Right.
Yeah. So that I think everybody have 24 hours. I choose to focus on the things that is important.
Right. And why baby and maternity? What pulled you into that category?
I think it's because my wife. Yeah. So that time we had our first baby, and then she is very interested in baby and maternity, the industry. So she started to research a lot. And then at a point in time, we were also looking for our next business venture. So the event business, we were not happy. We were trying to do something else. And at that point in time, 2016 was when e-commerce was up and coming. So we chanced upon Amazon, FBA, and then we just decided, okay, let's do baby and maternity niche.
Yeah.
Because my wife is very interested in it.
Yeah.
And then let's just do Amazon.
How would you say is that interest important? Because obviously you guys were not happy in the previous business, and you started because Jane's interested in maternity.
Yeah.
And do you think that made a difference? Just that interest alone?
I don't think it's important because if you encounter any issues or encounter any difficulty, I think it's the interest in that particular topic that allows you to dive very deep into the products that you are developing.
Yeah.
If it's it's really putting yourself in the shoes of the customers and to really think on their shoes when you are doing a product research. I think it's very different if you don't have the interest. If you don't have interest, then whatever you do will be very shallow. The customers that you're dealing with, you probably don't really understand them too deep.
Yeah.
You will not dive too deep into this.
Yeah.
I think luckily for me, my wife is the one that does the branding, does the product, and she's also a mother. She went very deep. She even went to the extent of getting herself certified for a baby wearing professional.
Yeah, I mean, I saw that. I thought that was incredible because I didn't see it in other, maybe it's just me, but I didn't see that in other brands, right?
And she went to take a course on sleep consultant, baby sleep consulting, how to help babies sleep better. So I think that kind of passion and interest, I think it's what drives how we develop our product.
Yeah.
and how we think from the customer's perspective.
But also, it also shows that she cares about it. So not only does she care about the product itself, but also user experiences. Perhaps also because, I mean, like I would probably interview Jane for that. But it seems like it's also because she's a mom herself. Like she has this innate interest and, at her own heart for her own babies.
Yeah, and I think for me, I mean, baby product. To be honest, I'm not a professional. I don't know much about baby products. I'm also not a mom, so I can't really put myself in the shoes. So actually, how we complement each other is people always ask me what am I good at? What am I good at in my business? I always tell them, say I'm good at. I like growing top line and protecting bottom line. I think that's what I'm good at. I think we kind of complement each other. That she is so passionate about baby industry, and I feel happy when I am able to scale a business and grow it. At the same time, protect the bottom line to constantly generate good profits for the company, for us. And because that gives me security. And I think I thrive on these two areas.
Right. It seems like there is a complete 180 from the affiliate marketing business to KeaBabies.
Yeah.
One, you mentioned that at the time you were more focused on making money.
Yeah.
And it seems like this one was born from an authentic, genuine passion in the product itself. And also just the right way to do, a legit business versus, anything kind of goes just to make it bigger.
I always also tell people that there's a big difference between making money online and an online business.
Yeah.
So I think in the past when I was doing affiliate marketing, it was just all about making money online. So there was I just want to make money online. I was not building a business. I was not building brand equity. I was not building intrinsic value. The business has got no value. In the future, if I want to sell it, I can't. It's just about chasing money.
But it's funny because it actually got listed, right? And then now you're saying it had no value. Like if you look from the outside in, it had a lot of value, right?
Yeah, but like we just merged 3 companies and we just spin out a story.
It's value on paper.
I mean, it was not the right way to do things. If you looking back at how things were.
Yeah.
But that period when I was the lister, I really learned a lot of things. Like I learned the good, the bad, so many interesting things on the inside that I apply it now in this business. The good one I keep, the bad one we don't.
Yeah. So looking back, when you're now thinking about the accidents that happened like 9 years ago, what do you think about it? And I guess, did the feeling change over the years?
The feeling of what?
Of like how you think about the accident?
I think initially you feel like, why it happened to me? Like, how come I so lucky to get this accident, blah, blah, blah. But now I think about it, actually, to me, it's like a mini blessing in disguise. Because before the accident, I already had severe compression on my spinal cord.
Because of stress?
Maybe because I hustle too hard with bad posture, sitting down the whole day, looking at the laptop with your neck tilted down. So last time I used to have a lot of neck pains and everything. The doctor actually advised me to do a surgery before the accident. So because I didn't do it. I tried to don't care about it. I was still young. I don't really care. And then after that, when the accident happened, I think it happened like when I was in my early 30s. I was young and I can recover faster.
Yeah.
It managed to turn the way I think and the way I view life. To me, I feel at a much earlier stage. So that I have time to turn. If I had an accident maybe in my 50s, then will be like maybe I'll not recover so well. Probably I will spend another 20 years being unhappy, chasing the things that I don't like, trying to accumulate more things, trying to build more system. So in looking back, I feel it's a blessing in disguise that I got into like a near-death accident at an early stage so that I can U-turn and focus on what truly makes me happy.
Right. Yeah. Did it feel like initially that things were a lot slower? The reason why I'm saying that is because when I had transitional period in my life, like initially it sucked, right? Like you feel like, exactly as you said, why did it happen to me? And what I'm going to do now? Like you felt like you're like lost. So when was a time when you're like, oh, okay, all of those things actually have meanings that they help me instead of harming me? Yeah, like all these things clicked and you're like, oh, okay, that was a blessing in disguise.
I think when you are lost and you are confused and you don't really know what to do, and like I started to think a lot about why is it like I'm always feeling unhappy. I started to think about like what is it that I try to do? I do the things that I feel I will make me happy, but end up I get even more unhappy.
Right.
So I think I start to seek for solutions. I
Yeah.
start to ask myself a lot of questions, and then I start to look for answers.
You're actually seeking for solutions from yourself.
Yeah, and also at that point in time, I think my wife also played a very pivotal role for me. She was doing some spiritual learnings from the group, the same group that we have now. So I start to see like a very big change in her. I start to see like how come she is. Initially, I didn't know what she was doing, but I started to see like she changed a lot.
You know, what's the change? What's the biggest change?
She changed for the better. But for me, I kept becoming worse and worse.
So she's doing all these things herself,
Yeah.
and she, I assume, became happier and calmer, and then you were doing your own things, your own definition of chasing happiness,
Yeah.
and then you got worse.
Yeah.
How come you didn't learn from her then?
I think there was a period where our marriage also almost broke down through my own ways of finding happiness. Then I think we kind of drifted apart, and then my marriage also started to break down. Then I started to realize I think I'm going the wrong direction. Like all these things that I felt was giving me happiness actually made me worse and worse and worse, and I started to drift apart from my family, drift apart, blah blah blah. Then I started to look at her and how come I think she keep improving and becoming better and better. And she looked like she's a lot happier than last time or so.
But it's also good that it happened that way, right? So that you know that there's a different way around it, and perhaps that way actually worked better.
Yeah, so I went to ask her like more about what she was doing, and then she told me about this. The only way out is introduced me to this program called the inner engineering that allows me to engineer your inner self,
Right.
to create the life that you want on the inside, instead of the outside.
Yeah.
So I started to, let's give it a try since I don't know what to do already. I'm so lost. I'm like at the rock bottom already. I'll just give it a try. I started to learn all these things. I spent a lot of hours listening to the guru.
That's after the accident.
Then slowly, I think it started to change. I think the transformation don't happen immediately. I think it's over time. Then you start to change and change and change, then until now evolve.
Do you think that you guys are very similar now, or that she's still moving faster than you?
I'm a very slow person. I think I learn things and I absorb things very slowly. I think much slower than her. So she's a few steps ahead, but at least I know that we are the right direction.
Right.
Yeah, rather than in the past, we were moving in a totally different direction. So now maybe her pace is faster, but I know I'm in the right direction. And with this, I know that this is something long term that we can go through, and for sure it's sustainable, because then the frequency will be more same, the things that we do will be more same. The way now we do business, we kind of like have this, in Chinese we call it 默契.
So like, chemistry, right?
Yeah, actually like certain things that I don't need to say, and then she know what I'm referring to. Certain things that she doesn't say, and then I really know what she wants me to do.
Did you ever feel like you were living somebody else's dream? And if so, when did you start to reclaiming your own? Or do you think it's a work in progress still?
I think I always felt that I wanted to live for someone. Yeah, I never I never live for myself.
You never, even now.
I mean, last time.
Yeah.
Last time, I always, I always try to put other people in front of me before I put my interests at the back. Or even sometimes I don't even care about my own interests.
What do you think is the reason for that? Was it because how you grew up, or like was it, taught to you? What's the reason?
Actually, I don't know. I think it's more like, actually, I don't know. I don't know why, but I always feel like I think this is very normal, right? You want to live for someone else. You want to do things that make someone happy. So like people always ask like, who do you love? You say your mother, your mom, your dad, your whatever, but you never say yourself. So,
are you so able to do that now?
I think now not 100%, but slowly I'm trying. Again, I learn from my wife. Now I think now at her stage, she is number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So her well-being, her health, her interest is number one above everything else.
That's so beautiful.
So initially I thought like, wow, maybe this is a very selfish act, or maybe this is one. But now I think about it, actually, this is the most important, and it's I think it's you need to love yourself before you can love someone else, right? Yeah. So if you don't love yourself, then how do you love me? How do you love your children and stuff like that?
Right.
So again, initially I feel like, wow, why is she so selfish? She always like put herself above everything else. But now I feel actually this is the most important.
It is. Then do you think that now you understand it, like you actually embody it, or you still just understand it cognitively? Because there's difference, right? Like you understand the concept, and there's where like you actually know this is truth, and you live it.
I think now I'm still at a stage where I'm still learning how to do this. I think like knowing and doing is
Different.
very different. But at least now I understand. Right?
What do you think is the difference?
Now that last time I used to feel like putting yourself number one is very selfish. It's a very selfish act. You don't care about other people's time or whatever, and then you just want to do whatever things that you feel is important to yourself.
Yeah.
But now I feel it like in a different way. I feel like loving yourself and taking care of yourself should be the top priority.
Right.
And taking care of yourself is the most important thing that you should do first. If you really don't.
So how did you make that jump? Because that's again, 180, right? Completely different. So how did you make that? Is it like you repeat it enough that you now think is true, or something changed your way of thinking?
I think for me, when I start to slowly decumulate stuff, I start to decumulate of course, firstly, my physical possession. And then I start to slowly decumulate my identity.
Identity? What does that mean?
Like things that are not important to me, I don't want to focus on it. Like maybe I feel now my kids are very important.
Yeah.
So I will put my kids above myself. I think I'm trying to figure out like maybe I don't know, maybe somehow one way or another I will be able to put myself above my kids.
Right. And do you think that's challenging?
Very, very, very challenging. Because it's easy to say, but doing it is very different.
Do you think it's easier to focus on them? That's why it's difficult?
But now we start to go into the topic that I'm not very sure.
Yeah.
So right now,
you're still exploring.
Yeah, right now, probably now it's at the stage whereby the question you're asking me, I'm at this stage of exploration.
Try to figure it out.
Yeah, so that's why it's very hard for me to answer you.
Yeah, I don't have kids myself, but I've known parents who it's so natural for them to live for their kids or like plan their life around their kids and be that parent. It's almost like that becomes who they are, and it's like give them purpose in life, and they wake up every day and they're like, oh, I'm gonna wake up my kids, get them ready for school. So it almost becomes like the center of person's life, and it's just such it's such an accepted way to live, right, in the society too. And from what I heard from you, you try to challenge that, not because you don't love your kids, it's because you think that by putting yourself first will make you a better parent. And is it because you saw Jane doing it and she changed, or is it what gave you the idea that you wanted to experiment?
Yeah, I think I saw it firsthand from how my wife was doing it.
Yeah.
And to me, that was a very difficult thing to do and very inspiring to me.
Right.
That you can do that so that you can become a better person. Like sometimes people always say, I'm willing to die for my kids, I'm die for my wife, but are you willing to live for them?
That's true. I mean, are you willing to live
to what extent?
Happily for them?
Will you live your life so that you can better take care of them, be a better dad, be a better husband? That's the difficult part. That's the difficult.
So why do you think that is more important than saying that, we need to die for my kids? It just feels like such a honorable thing to say and do, and nobody will say that's wrong, right? And then, so why do you think it's more important to say that? Like, what are the ways I can live for my kids, or what are the better ways I can live for my kids? Yeah. Why do you think that is a more important question to ask yourself than saying that I'm willing to die for my kids?
Because I think you want them to teach them the right values. You want to teach them the things that about life or business, whatever. But I think it's more important to be able to be a role model and show it to them. Yeah. Rather than just telling them and trying to teach them the things that you feel is the right way to live your life. But I think they don't listen. I think as a children, they'll just watch you. Yeah, well, it's interesting because because we're Asian, right? And then we're Chinese. And I think that Chinese family is always like, oh, I'm doing this for your own good, and then you should do this way. Or like your parents will be like, oh, I sacrificed so much for you and all these things. Yeah. And you grow up, you're like, well, I didn't ask you to do that. And at least for me, I don't know. I'm like, well, I mean, you did it yourself, you didn't do this for me. Don't say that you did it for me, right? Because, I didn't even know that you did it.
So did you find yourself having those tendencies too? Like when you first started a parent?
Yeah, when you start to parent, sometimes you get very tired. You start to feel like, wow, hey, I need to go through, I need to do all these things. Then you don't appreciate what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. But I think now I start to think that rather than saying that I have to do this, I have to send them to school, I have to play with them, I have to spend a lot of time, become very tired because of them. I think now I start to say I get to.
You get to.
I get to be able to have the honor and the privilege to send them to school.
Oh, so you choose to do that.
Yeah. So doing it is not for them, but
Yeah.
doing it is for myself, that I want to do it because I do it because I want to do it, not because I feel that it's my responsibility to do it.
How did that change for you when you were saying that differently to yourself?
Then you start from thinking about you have to do it, then now you say you get to do it. So it's like it's my privilege to get to send them to school. It's my privilege to play with them. So you're doing it for yourself.
Right. And also if you don't want to do it, you don't need to.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
So then in future you don't feel like, oh, I am doing this for you. I do so many things for you, but you don't appreciate. You don't have that kind of, you don't get that kind of feeling anymore.
What would you say to a young Asian entrepreneur who perhaps feels lost but doesn't want to disappoint their families or community?
I think it's important to do something that I feel makes you happy, like a business that you are very passionate about.
But what if they would disappoint their parents? Like, let's just say that the parents asked them they felt like they needed to start business to make money, right? Because that's kind of the right way to do it. But then what if they wanted to start an NGO or something that doesn't make money, but they actually wanted to do, like they feel happy doing it? Or they want to be a YouTuber, I don't know.
I want to do it because I think when I started, also my family keep telling me to not go and do business, go and do funny things, just go and get a job, like the usual typical Asian parent.
Yeah.
But I think deep down I know that it's not what I want, and I just want to do the things that I want. Basically, it's my end of the day is my own life. I choose how I want to be. Even if I disappoint, maybe by choosing business, I'm disappointing them because they want me to get a job and I didn't, so they probably felt disappointed.
Were they disappointed in you for a while?
I think they were more worried.
They worried.
Or they are more worried than disappointed.
They're like, what if you come back and then we need to live with 6 people again?
Because there was because when I was starting out, I had no money. I got a supplementary card from my mom, and then I maxed out all her credit cards.
I would be worried too if I were her. I mean, like, I don't blame her for that.
Because I was doing like buying traffic on the Google, Yahoo, all this.
Yeah.
So I swiped out, I maxed out all her credit cards. Then she was very, very worried that whether I have money to pay her back. I think it was like 20,000 a month or something.
Especially if she worked like 40 years in one job, like that's completely against her own value system.
So I think she was more worried than disappointed.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, she just supported me. Even though like, I had nothing to show her, but she still lent me her supplementary card.
So that's love,
Yeah, and then she helped me pay. She took time to help me to slowly pay off all the credit cards. I think I had like 5 or 6 of her credit cards that I was using to do whatever I was doing. And then like she was there to, help me, to support me in terms of all these things.
I mean, I hope that your brothers and sisters didn't do that because your mom would have had a lot of credit cards to pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's a very supportive mom, that's for sure. But I can tell that you're a rebel like from a young age. So.
When we were not rich, we didn't have money. My first laptop, I got it at age 21, and we got a laptop through a 2 years installment plan.
Okay.
So she actually used at that time I got interest free. We didn't have money to pay for the laptop in full. So she took a 2-year installment plan to buy me a laptop.
That was really good.
So before that, we were using a very old desktop that all my brothers and sisters need to share. So we were like, okay, 30 minutes. So then I requested a laptop. She supported me by buying me a laptop through paying installment.
Yeah.
So when I got a laptop, I felt that I really must do whatever I can to make sure I make it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's such a good way to show you her support. She wasn't, assume she didn't say that, oh, you must make it work. I sacrificed all my money for you. Did she say those things?
No,
she just did it, right? And then you feel like
she was very worried, but she still supported.
You feel like because of that love, you have the intrinsic motivation to make it work.
Yeah.
Instead of, because you know how like, I think a lot of Asian parents will be like, oh, you get 90 out of 100, like you're not good enough. Like I paid all the money for you to go to the school or whatever.
Yeah.
But she didn't do it. As a result of that, you feel even more motivated.
Yeah, in a way. When I got a laptop, like, I feel like very happy.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, wow, I must make this work somehow. One way or another, like, I must try to make this work. So then I really, really worked very, very hard into like trying to make money online like, at that point in time.
Yeah. Did she pay her back?
Yeah, I paid her back. Luckily, I didn't have to owe her any money before.
Yeah.
So on the credit card, I was able to give her the money to pay back.
Yeah. That's amazing. So I think last question I have here. Can you finish the sentence? I'm proud of myself because.
Initially, I wanted to say I'm proud of myself because I have the option to choose. I probably also wanted to say that I feel proud because now I feel I'm walking in the right direction.
Which is?
I know like whatever I'm doing now gives me happiness.
Yeah.
Yeah, rather than, like last time, I thought I know what's happiness, but actually I don't.
But at that time, I think you also thought that whatever you did was giving you happiness.
Yeah, but I know that after I did already, I wasn't happy.
Right.
I got more angry. I was a very angry person. Unsatisfied person.
So it sounds like you're proud of yourself because you've gone through the whole journey to arrive to the right journey that you know for sure will give you happiness.
Not for sure, but I know at least I'm in the
right direction.
And I know that the way to gain happiness is to look inwards.
Yeah.
So I think this two have always stuck with me, like the only way out is in.
Yeah.
Tell myself to look inwards. Every time I run into any issues, any situations, any difficulties, any challenges, it's all about looking inwards and see where and the solution is inside. It's never in the external environment.
Not even in business, you think is that way? For example, if you have certain strategy you need to come up with, do you listen to other people or do you think that you ultimately would respect your own judgment? The
strategy at the end of the day have to falls back to the way we want our life to be.
Yeah.
So if it's a strategy that doesn't fit into what we want in life, then we will not be doing that strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like opening a retail store. That will never be our strategy because because it's going to take so much from the life that we want. You didn't want to have that lifestyle. Yeah.
If this conversation sparked something in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you are building a more true life, not just more impressive, we would love to hear your story. Follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Asian Rebel Club and join our newsletter for more ways to connect. Link in the description. Until next time.